Jordan and Voya from Bad Moon Born. Welcome to Australian Musician.
Thanks, heaps. Cheers for having us.
The band's debut EP was Chemical Lullabies back in 2016. How do you think the band has changed since then?
Apart from members changing drastically, the sound has taken on far more modern, I'd say, because we're quite influenced by 90s sort of stuff in early 2000s, and now we've gone more of the route of what's current, adding all the kind of synthy elements and stuff like that, and Jordan's voice, making music that complements Jordan's voice along with what he complements to it as well.
Yeah,
predominantly. So, yeah.
What would you consider to be some of the band's career highlights so far?
Oh, that's a tough one. I think one that we sort of always go back to when we get this question is towards the end of 2019, we toured Australia with Buckcherry and Hardcore Superstar. And, you know, that whole week was just incredible. The shows were amazing. All the people we met were lovely. The bands were great to get along with. It was just such a wonderful experience. You know, to be able to play your music to that many people and have, you know, hundreds and hundreds of people. I think, you know, a couple of the rooms were quite big.
Yeah.
You know, just sort of screaming along to the songs and stuff, and everyone wanting to meet you after the show and all that. Yeah, that was something that we sort of really valued, and you know, it was something that we were really enjoying. And there was a couple of more tours lined up, and then of course the pandemic hit, and it's like we haven't been able to do anything like that for 2 years. Yeah. So, but yeah, for me, because I think I just joined the band at that point, so that was my, you know, I sort of got the green light from the boys that you know, I was the new singer, and then it was like, all right, 2 months, and we're into that tour. So that was definitely like a massive highlight for me, and I think sort of
for us as well.
Yeah, probably one of your favorite memories too.
Yeah.
So, what kind of things do you learn from a band like Buckcherry?
Going to bed at a good hour.
Going to bed at a good hour. Yeah. I think, you know, we were quite excited by the whole thing, so it was very much staying up all night on the plane, you know, to the next city, staying up all day, and then performing, and then like realizing that, oh no, we haven't slept. Like,
yeah, and then in like 1 week doing that completely burnt us out. And
yeah.
I was like, if we're going on a tour for months, there's no chance this sort of lifestyle.
And of course, like vocally as well, you know, you've really got to make sure you're getting good sleep and good rest and eating well, and you know,
fitness is important.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. a lot of those Buckcherry dudes are just stupid fit. They're all like in really good shape. Same with the Hardcore Superstar guys as well. Like they're all just, you know, able to do that every night for weeks, you know, months on end. So yeah, I think the importance of like physical health and fitness was definitely something that we took away from it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of physical health and fitness, Jordan, you play in 2 bands. Are you a multitasking person in general?
For the most part, I think, yeah. You know, sort of really enjoy being in 2 bands and being able to kind of play with a lot of different genres. So yeah, I think, yeah, for the most part, I am a bit multitasking. I tend to do like, you know, sort of like songwriting and, you know, a lot of sort of the behind the scenes admin and social media networking and stuff like that. So that's kind of, yeah, I guess the short version is, yeah, I think I do like to multitask a bit.
I failed to mention the other band is Carmeria. Did your role change in each band?
It's quite similar. Sort of, yeah, that doesn't sort of change too much. I mean, the good thing is in both bands that we like to work to like everyone's strengths. And I just sort of happen to have, you know, a bit of experience in sort of doing the admin and social media management. So I like to sort of stick at that. And then sort of all the other, you know, guys in the bands tend to take on other roles as well. So yeah, so it doesn't sort of change too much between the bands in terms of my role.
Yeah. Bad Moon Born has a history of releasing extended plays and singles. You're finally working on a full album. Why such a gradual step to a full album?
I think it's mainly down to we've always been trying to find what works for us sound wise, and that's continuously kept changing. And every time we've tried getting closer to this, it feels like there's been a massive change within the band or what we're aiming for as a goal. So we wanted to keep busy and keep out there with doing stuff. So that's why we've done this. But we are finally deciding to do an album, and we are currently writing that and demoing that, because I don't want to wait till I'm 40 to do an album, because it's gradually getting closer. And yeah, there's been no tactic towards it at all, apart from uncertainty on our behalf.
Yeah. Light Leaves Today is the new and final single from the Heart from the Hollow series. It shows another dimension of the band, another shade. Features acoustic guitar and maybe a softer sound. You obviously don't have any hard and fast rules about what you should be playing.
Yeah, no, not particularly. We've all got sort of a bunch of different influences and are into like a bunch of different genres. And I think, we really enjoy experimenting and bringing in lots of different elements to the sound. I think it's a way that keeps it interesting for us and interesting to the listeners as well. We don't sort of really like to restrict ourselves by kind of any one genre. Because I think, you just sort of just get stuck in the habit of maybe doing that, and then it might become a bit boring. So for us, it's just a way of us, keeping interested and artistically fulfilled as well.
Yeah. Light Leaves Today, Jordan, is a pretty personal song, as are the 5 songs in the collection. Tell me about the story behind Light Leaves Today.
Yeah, so I struggled a lot with alcoholism and drug addiction, probably for the better part of a decade, from my teens into my sort of mid to late 20s. And I'd never actually sort of addressed it in a songwriting format. I've been sober now, just gone past 18 months. So, and as a lyricist, I've never really sort of tackled myself personally. I sort of enjoy writing, I guess, a bit more sort of in the fiction realm, so to speak, or just like along the lines of poetry. But I've never actually kind of sort of dove in and express myself through my music on a personal level. So that was quite of a challenge for me, but it felt like the right time. And this collection of songs with Voya, when we sat down to have a chat about what the lyrics were going to be about, it sort of felt like the right time to begin diving into my personal life and sort of addressing things in my past in a creative format.
Yeah. Voya, I was listening to another interview you did talking about the Heart from the Hollow songs, and you were talking about the instrumentation, saying it was basically a different set of instruments on each track, different guitars. I'm wondering, when you get to play those songs live, does that mean you're constantly changing guitars also on stage?
No, all the songs are within the same tuning, but also Ned and I, we run, for the recordings, I used all sort of like plugins, amps, different pedals, different guitars with different like P90s, humbuckers, single coils throughout it. But live, Ned uses a Kemper and I use Axe Effects. So we've set that up, patches for every single part of every song, and that emulates what the recording had, and that's it. Yeah, live we keep it as simple as possible, just one XLR out to the sound guy, and that's it.
Yeah.
One guitar. Yeah, we only use one guitar actually, live each as well.
Yeah. So what is your main guitar?
Mine, I don't know. At the moment, I'm using a Telecaster John 5 Signature, which has 2 humbuckers in it, and Ned was using a 81 Les Paul Custom. So
what's the?
I'm probably going back to a Les Paul now as well.
Yeah,
I missed the Les Paul. I've got a standard, like a mid-90s one. Yeah, it just feels right.
Yeah. Well, what's the acoustic guitar that you use on Light Leaves Today?
I used an Epiphone. I actually bought it like 2 weeks before recording because it was hard to ask anyone to borrow one at that time, and I was like, I just need to record this quickly because I had the demo acoustic tracks laid down, but I need to re-record it, and I just went and bought one quickly. It's a Epiphone J45, I think it was.
Yeah.
And yeah.
What can you tell us about the rest of the new album? Are there any musical curveballs on there, things we may not expect?
Yeah. We're still listening to a lot of different influences at the moment. And, I guess what we can say is with the Heart from the Hollow series, we sort of were leaning more into like the heavier side and the metal and metalcore side. Whereas it was for the album, we're looking to go sort of back to our hard rock roots and, play sort of into a lot of our original influences as well. So I think that's going to be quite exciting because, we're getting pretty stoked on the ideas that we're coming up with.
It feels like it's going to be a very true representation of what we're all into.
Yeah.
Because we've aimed to almost please kind of the crowds we're playing for, but which is important to any degree. Like you have to do that regardless. You always have to keep that in mind. But we're going to be ultra into our nostalgic vibes.
Yeah, it's sort of just going to be a very us record.
Very selfish.
Yeah.
Voya, the thing I like about the music that I've heard from you guys is that the drum and bass sounds are so huge. Are there producers or guys that have inspired you to get those sounds?
Originally, I was very into Brendan O'Brien, who did Stone Temple Pilots and any band around that time. He did the Audio Slave stuff as well, which I was really into. And then for the modern stuff, I'm massively into Bring Me the Horizons production and Architects, which is I think is Nolly. Nolly does a lot of the Architects album that I dig, and a lot of that drum sound still feels very nice. Like the sound replacement is there to make it bigger, but it's still all the articulation and the natural drums are still there. And yeah, it's mainly those two bands, Architects and Bring Me the Horizon, and their production for the bass and drum sound at the moment.
Yeah. What is your mixing desk and how did you learn to navigate it? Did you do a course or did you just pick up bits and pieces?
I started at JMC with a performance degree and did that, and I was just never totally happy with I couldn't explain what I wanted out of the recordings to people, so I just started learning on my own very briefly, and most of it's in the box, all the recording and mixing. The only outboard stuff, I've got a 70s TIAC Japanese console. That's where we did the vocals and some of the guitars through. The rest is all just straight into a universal audio interface, and that's all just mixed with plugins. Yeah. Nothing sent back through outboard gear, it's all just straight from there.
And Jordan, how fussy are you with your vocal taste? Do you like to get them fresh or?
Yeah, super fussy. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, which sort of works because Voya is too. So it's like,
I am too. The PTSD of the vocal.
Yeah, because like the thing is with the Heart from the Hollow single series, I really enjoy layering vocals. I like to sort of think of it as a painting with all different shades and all that kind of stuff. And so we kind of really went ham on the vocal layering with this. I think we ended up with 150 to 200 vocal layers per song or something stupid. But that was something that sort of, we're just in the studio and we're recording, and then we're like, oh, what about this harmony? And then it's like, oh, fuck, that sounds great. Oh, what if we had another one? And it's sort of just kept building and building, and then
let's do it 4 times.
And then let's quad track it and all that kind of stuff. And of course, we're looking to get the best performance possible as well. So we're taking multiple takes of everything and sort of getting the best performances we can. So yeah, definitely a perfectionist, and it sort of works because you are too. But I think going for this album, it's going to be a lot simpler. Still, layers and stuff like that, but I think we're just going to be a lot more smarter about it, and I guess do it a lot more authentically and with focus on the performance as well. So yeah.
Have you given yourselves a deadline for the album?
Well, we're aiming to release it this year, so yeah, like we're sort of still in the demo phase right now. I mean, we're not really restricted with budget and sort of time restraints because obviously, you know, Voya's the producer and we've got our own studio. So like we can sort of just smash it out whenever we're available kind of thing. So once we get these demos down, we've got sort of a bunch of instrumental ones that we're starting to get into writing vocals for now. We'll probably smash that out in the next month or two and then track it properly. So yeah, drop a couple of singles before the album and then the album. So hopefully we can get it all done this year. COVID pending, obviously.
Yeah.
Just in case there's any other restrictions they choose to throw at us.
Does the album have a working title?
Not at the moment, I don't think. Oh, we do have.
I like it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The working title at the moment is Villains, Vultures, and Vermin. I think something along those lines.
I think it's gonna. I like that.
He likes it. He's.
My name starts with B.
Yeah. We're just mucking around with a couple of things, throwing a couple of names out there, and then the boy's gone, oh shit, should we just keep that for a bit? And it's like, all right, maybe we'll sit on it.
It's got good
Yeah.
So at the beginning of 2020, when COVID hit, what were the plans for the band at that point, and when do you hope to pick up on those?
Yeah, so we we had a bunch of tour supports locked in for international artists for gigs that sort of never happened. Like Devilskin was one of them with Shepherd's Rain. There's a couple of others that were kind of in the works as well. We were planning on touring, most of the singles as they came out, or at least doing single launches for them. There were a lot of plans to play and perform live kind of all over the country. And unfortunately, we just didn't get to do that, which is a shame. But I mean, at the same time, it allowed us, a lot more time to be able to go through all the singles and release them properly and spend the time to learn how to do a lot of that stuff as well. I mean, there's so much involved in, releasing music once you get sort of the PR and marketing and imagery and branding and all that kind of shit into place. So we learned a lot of that going through, last year and really just focusing on, building up the band's digital presence and stuff like that. So I think, that said, moving forward, we're really keen to play live again. I think in the last 2 years, we've maybe played like 2 or 3 shows or something ridiculous. Yeah. So we're kind of chomping at the bit to get out there. So hopefully, if restrictions ease and we're actually able to move around again, we'll be able to jump on a couple of tours and play a couple of shows of our own and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, fingers crossed that we can get back into it because we're absolutely raring to go.
Yeah. What's the grand plan for Bad Moon Born?
Grand plan.
I want to tour the US again.
Yeah.
I think we need to do it together though.
Yeah. International touring, all that kind of stuff. I think, getting this album out first is the priority. I think we really, really, really want to, do as much as we can to see this album through and get it to the best possible position it can be. We've had a chat about how we're going to go about sort of marketing and PR and all that kind of stuff and the branding and all that kind of stuff of it. So, we're getting sort of down into the nitty gritty and looking to do everything properly and, throwing a lot of money at marketing and PR.
To this like it's our last thing.
Exactly.
Because, like you said, the last year we've learned how important the behind the scenes stuff is with releasing music. Because if you don't do that, it's just pointless. Which took us a long time to learn. But that's why we want to go into this with all or nothing attitude in the behind the scenes aspect.
Yeah. Well, Voya and Jordan, thanks for catching up, and we look forward to the new album coming out later in the year. Thanks for joining us.
No worries. Thanks so much for having us, man.